baby. All right. Good evening, everybody. I am Jason Sisneros, also known as the Bald Avenger, the tattooed guru, the purveyor of all things common sense, the king of the Misfit Nation, and a legend, ladies, in my own mind. Okay. I always have to throw that in there just so everybody doesn't think I'm so arrogant. You guys are in for a heck of a show tonight. Tonight is, I titled it The Women of Gratitude because I got to give you a little backstory here. L. Patrick Dickerson invited me into a room I don't know how many months ago it's been now, and it was being led by Ayana and the beautiful women that you see on your screen right now. It's been an amazing experience for me because everywhere you go in the world, not everywhere, but a lot of places that you go in the world right now, there's a lot of strife, there's a lot of contention, there's a lot of division, there's a lot of challenges that are going on out there in the world. And every time I came into this room on Clubhouse, and I'll let you guys talk about the title of it so that people can come and visit, every single time I went in this room, I felt nothing but love. I felt nothing but acceptance. I felt nothing but, like, you know, hopefully I can get Miss Nick to sing for us a little bit. She sings in there. There's prayers going on. There's laughter. There's crying. We got Billy, you know, with whatever Billy ends up saying sometimes. But I just thought, you know, with my show, with the platform that we have here, with all of you in Misfit Nation, I wanted to share these ladies with you because of the love and compassion and the world-changing things that I've seen and heard happen in their room, and give you guys a little bit of their magic tonight. So with that being said, I want to welcome to the room Miss Nick, Miss Shay, Miss Kelly, and Miss Marvelous. Yeah, can anybody say just Marvelous, or they have to throw in that marvelous? It's Miss Marvelous in the house.
Billy started that one.
Did he? Did he?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it just kind of rolls naturally off the tongue. So
from day one, that was all Billy.
I love it. Well, Nick, why don't you go ahead and kick it off and just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you.
Greetings. I'm Nick Keys, a former educator, a musician, a gratitude pusher, an advocate, and a proud member of the Gratitude Flow Room.
Love that. How about you, Miss Shay? Oh,
I can't get unmuted.
I bet you Alton wishes he had that button at home.
Oh my God. You know what? That would be his saving grace, Lord. Well, my name is Shadesty Walker, AKA known as Shay. I am a new book author. I am a holistic mental wellness coach. I've been in dental consulting for 17 years. And I am a proud warrior of and a proud member of the Drip Squad in the Gratitude Room every morning. So let the gratitude flow, Drip Squad.
What?
Love it. Love it. Okay, Miss Kelly, how about you? You guys can leave them off the rest of the
Leave
night.
them off. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Kelly Shepherd Watts. I am one of the, I guess you could say, original members because I came. Ayana Armstrong is my best friend, and she dragged me kicking and screaming onto Clubhouse. And then, I came into the 21 Days of Gratitude, and on day 19, and then she started Let the Gratitude Flow. What are you grateful for? And we actually have a new name coming up as of Monday. It's Let the Gratitude Flow, Grow the Gratitude. By day, I'm an executive director for a nonprofit organization. I created a coaching program for single moms, and because of the pandemic, we went virtual. I'm also co-owner of She Cleans Professional Cleaning Services with Ayana, life coach of the Coaching Concierge, and soon to be another coaching program for women over 40. And I am a fitness and cycling enthusiast. I love getting on my bike, and I help co-moderate the gratitude room, as well as every Thursday at noon in the Let the Gratitude Flow room. Myself with my co-host Robert Dunbar from Training by Dunbar, we co-host a variety of different topics like understanding affirmations, mindset, dream building, setting goals. This week and next week, we're doing time management. So it slides into getting your mindset for business, and then sliding into various business principles and personality of a business owner, entrepreneur, and so forth. And actually, Shay is going to be a guest next week.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Miss Marvelous?
Miss Marvelous. Well, my born name is Marvelyn, and I was always called Marvelous Marv. And so I was speaking to someone, they said, you know what, you should use Marvelous because you're marvelous. And I adopted that name Marvelous, and because I am a former costume designer in TV and film, and I reinvented myself 7 years ago, and I became a home organizing coach. And I go into your homes, I make you throw things out that you just been holding on to for life, and it's not making any sense. And I help you stay that way. Once we do the job, I help you stay that way so that you're not spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars doing something that you don't need to be doing. And I have a passion for giving back. So I volunteer. I'm in Los Angeles, California, and the homelessness in this area has become an epidemic, and I'm sure it's a lot of places like that. But on Wednesdays and Sundays, I go downtown and I help serve the needy and the hungry, and love on them, and really get to know them and become on first name basis with them. And I've seen the change down there and how their attitudes. When I first started, they were so angry, and now they laugh, they miss me when they don't see me. And because I call myself marvelous, that's who, Marvelous, where were you last week? So I try not to miss a day that I'm supposed to be there, unless it's just, detrimental, I have to be somewhere. But for the most part, that's where I am. So I'm all about giving back. I'm all about sharing. And I know God put me in this room, the Gratitude Flow room, for a reason, because I was in another room early in the morning, and I'm sure they've been hunting the streets for me because I've just like switched over to this room. And
once you ladies get a hold of you, you're not getting loose.
Yes,
I'll tell you that.
I mean, I even have a room on Thursdays, and it's called the House of Healing, and it's myself and a young lady from London, and so we co-host each other on our House of Healing. And so we have different topics, like Kelly was saying, every Thursday is something different. And so I'm twinning with Gratitude House, because I'm sending people over to Gratitude House Monday through Sunday, and they're coming over into my room on Thursday. So it's definitely a connection with this thing, and I love it. I love it so much that I'm driving friends away, because they're like, why you keep talking about Clubhouse? Why you keep talking about come on there and find out. So
right.
Yeah,
I love it. I think that the rest of the world, this is why I invited y'all on the show, is because the rest of the world needs some of that, right?
Yes.
So I want to start out by saying, you guys have all had easy, perfect lives. I mean, of course you can be grateful.
Look at Shay's face.
You want to see my
I'm
jail
getting
record?
ready to exit stage left. What are you talking about? What?
You want to see my jail record?
Yeah. Oh, that was the other show. That was the other show. Okay. Got it. But honestly, like, let's start there, because I know where we're at now. I know why, what the title of the show is, but talk a little bit about your challenges. And we'll go reverse order this time. Marvelous. Talk a little bit about your challenges, throughout your life, things that have been a leverage point, right? Change points, things that you've had to go through.
Well, you know what? It's been maybe the last 3 or 4 years that I've really been seeing some movement that are not so friendly in my life. And I've taken a couple of really bad falls. I fell and hit my head on a concrete in 2019. And then just recently I took a bad fall on my bicycle. I bike 3 days a week. And I'm like asking God, what is going on? Because they're not just falls where you scrape your knee. I broke a rib, punctured a lung, pretty much I didn't knock myself out when I fell on my head, but pretty much close to it. So I've been really like going through, I don't know how to explain it, but for the most part, I've stayed connected with friends and family who I know support me through whatever I'm going through. And the higher being God, that's been my saving grace, because I call on him, I pray to him every day, and he has seen me through it all. Even with the healing of my broken rib and lungs, everybody's looking at you just did what? How long ago? It's been 4 weeks. And I'm like, I'm ready to ride my bike again. And so I just know that we all go through something in life. We all have challenges. And I mean, I could go backstories, but we'll be here all day. But, and with the pandemic, it didn't help. But I can say that I went to Africa the end of 2019. And I believe that that's where my spiritual journey started. My real spiritual journey started coming back, because I was able and I was blessed to see the castle where they housed the slaves, and it was called the 400 year of the return in Ghana. And I have a big background influence of Africans from all over the diaspora. And so to take that journey there and then come back to the States into a pandemic, for me, I'm not gonna say God sent, but it allowed me to get even more creative. Yes, I have people that passed away or knew of people who passed away, but at the same time, I still have to live. We still have to live and, pray through it. And it has gotten me through it. So I'm just blessed to be here and to find this platform of Clubhouse. Whoever invented Clubhouse, I love them. Kudos, because where would you go in the world that you wouldn't have to pay to hear people speak or see them? And it's all free. And you're talking to people around the universe, not just next door. So I feel
how
that
in the world would all of us gotten have connected? Like,
exactly.
It's crazy.
It is. And these ladies here and the other family in the rooms, I feel so connected. They bring back my sister who's passed. Oh, Nick, you all right?
Sorry, Jason.
Fine.
My sister passed away. My mom is not here, and we all connect in some kind of way. So, I'm just grateful and that I found this home, and you coming into our room and being a part of, our lives. It's a blessing to me. It really is. So any problems I'm having, like right now, I'm getting a phone call from Stephanie that someone's on the street looking for a place to stay, and I'm making phone calls. So it's nonstop. But you know what? I thank God.
Awesome. I love that. I spent quite a bit of time in Ghana, and life
Oh, so
changing.
you, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
life
it
changing
is.
all over West Africa. I mean, I've been all over Africa, in a lot of the countries, and it's life changing. I wish more people could
Hmm.
get the opportunity to go do that and meet the
And that's a
people.
dream. That's a dream
Yeah,
to
it's
get more people involved, and let's, do a tour. Let's do it. Let's get it together. Because I was trying to get to Nigeria, but I didn't do the dual passport, and I waited
mm,
till I got there, and that was like, by the time I would have got it, it was time to come home. So,
I love
but
that.
that's
Well,
that's
if
on the
that's something
bucket
you
list.
start working on, I want to be a part of it. Okay,
No, definitely, that's on the bucket list for sure.
got it. Let's do it. All right, Miss Kelly, how about you with your perfect life? No.
By no means. I'll say that to a degree, Clubhouse sort of kind of saved my life in the sense of just 3 weeks prior, I called my sorority sister and had like a little breakdown. And I was crying hysterically. And I was like, I feel so alone. We used to always have a lot of people around us, hanging out, socializing and everything. And I'm like, I sit here and my phone doesn't ring. I don't get any text messages. I have friends here where I live, but sometimes they think that because there are times where I'm very busy, they don't call me to go out. They don't, check on Kelly because Kelly's usually good. They don't really get to see that other side at times, except for maybe Ayana and one other friend. And so she was like, I'm smiling. This is your awakening. And she's actually moving to Gambia in June. And so she was like, you need to come to the continent. I just went through the same thing in December, blah, blah, blah. And so I started to do a shift and look at, okay, what am I like getting so upset about? And a lot of it stems from rejection, abandonment. I grew up with a family secret of ooh, boy, this could get me in trouble, but of
We
who
like
my
trouble
father,
here. This is a Ball
right?
Avenger show. We get
Let
in
it
trouble all the
flow.
We
time.
get in trouble, right? So who I was raised to know, my father, whose last name is Shepherd, was not my real father.
Mm.
And so I found out at the age of 8 by accident, by ear hustling, on my biological father and my mother having an argument. So I'm the oldest. I have a sister and I have a brother. So my brother and I, first and third child, had the same mother and father. And so I told him at the age of 47 that I knew that he was not my father, but I
Mm.
appreciated and honored him as he's my dad. And so since then, the animosity he has towards my mother has been deflected towards me. So in that, I have made decisions in my life. Like I moved to Charlotte and gave some family members, not even all, a 30-day notice. And I just bounced, no job, no nothing. So my interactions with people have stemmed from the challenges of this secret, or as my sister calls it, a lie. So then Ayana convinced me to come on Clubhouse. And when I tell you, I came on day 19 of the 21 days of gratitude, I was like, I don't understand what this is. Like this, like you can't even just explain this. That 21st day being on 6 hours cannot be described. I mean, nobody wanted to part from each other, even at the 6th
Mhm.
hour. And so when Ayana started the next club, I'm like, what is this? What's going on here? And she was like, girl, just get in the room. And so and the connections, Shay, Nick, Marvelous is new, Lovely Marie, Billy, Patrick. We met Patrick like 2 weeks later. Kisa. I'm like, there's people that I speak to now every day, connecting to every day. And it's just amazing. It's opened the doors for business opportunities with Robert Dunbar. I got asked to do another business opportunity with, it would be 12 of us to support each other's business and then venture outside of Clubhouse. I have some business, Shay and I have some conversations around business, just holding each other accountable to our goals, to our projects. Didn't have that. For a long time, many of my friends weren't even entrepreneurs, and I've been doing life coaching for a while since I finished grad school. And then when I did this nonprofit for my friend and created the coaching program, which was a whole different concept, which was actually my concept, for a coaching program of my own, I was like, okay, God, I understand. So the whole direction started to change, and it's just a whirlwind. I tell people all the time, Marvelous is the pro though at promoting Clubhouse. But when I tell my friends, I'm like, you need to get on here. My sister is a chief equity officer and associate dean at William Mary Law School, and she's like a beast when it comes to diversity, inclusion, and so forth. And I'm like, you need to get on here because there are some people who you need to connect with and so forth. It's like, I gotta make time. Okay, you let the train is moving and Kelly's on.
Exactly.
I'm just so excited every day to see what connections I can make. And just in my spirituality has just totally shifted and changed. I mean, I go to a local church. I'm very involved in church, but where I know God has taken me is just, it has just done a straight 180. And I just so appreciate the opportunity.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Ms. Shay?
Oh, man. I'm going to just be absolutely honest. On the 21st day, I came to the platform dismantled. I mean, I was a mess emotionally. I felt like I had just been in mental confinement, not really being able to make a decision about my career paths. I have been a serial entrepreneur and just I'm not even going to call it failed. My style is so rigid and raw. And because I'm a person of discovery, I like to get to the root of things. And so in business, especially with the type of business that I've done, it's required me to get to the root of the issue. And most of the time, the business owner or quote unquote doctors, dentists are the issue, as to why their businesses aren't moving. And they blame everybody else around them except for looking at themselves. And so I have been the one that has to have this level of courage that I've just, it's been a gift and a curse. At least that's how I've lived under the context for so long, being able to be the bold one, the one that's willing to say what needs to be said, the one that's willing to just give you a good old kick in the ass to get you moving, right? Yep. And boy, I have, I've experienced controversy, adversity, like what you name it, it's happened. I mean, people have been so pissed off because I will shake things up and they just don't know what to do with that. And the people that allow themselves to really endure the growth, like really allow themselves to really say, you know what, I got this, I can do it. The ones that really endure, like they've been able to push their businesses through spaces where now without me, like so you've got these group of people that sing my praises, but then you got the other people over here that are so critical and like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know what she, and so you go through all of that. And so it put me in a space of feeling like, okay, I'm burnt out, but this is something that I'm so passionate and driven about. This is something where I've really been able to really truly discover my purpose in consulting and just giving people a big old kick in the caboodle to keep them pushing. But you do find yourself on the battlefield oftentimes when you're trying to push people through spaces, but then when you find yourself in the space, what do you do with that? And so because of all of the criticism and all of the controversy that comes with this role, it pushed me in the space of just not knowing what the hell to do next. Like, what am I going to do next? I'm tired, I'm burnt out. I go so hard about this stuff, but this stuff is just mentally just pulling me apart. What do I do? And so on the 21st day of coming into the gratitude room, I was just completely dismantled. And blaming everybody except for myself about being stuck in spaces that I couldn't really release myself from. And so being on this platform, it's just been absolutely miraculous, emotionally, mentally. And then not to mention, when you spend time focused on your self-care, you can't avoid God, because that's where you really are allowed to really, really nourish your relationship and revive your relationship with God. And those two go hand in hand. But then if you really allow yourself to really, really surrender right there in that space, oh my God, boom, the creative juice just drips all over you. And before you know it, you wake up an author, you're talking to Jason on the phone, like you're telling people all over the world that you love them and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Like, and you mean it. Like you're moving with the spirit, you're letting God flow. And we're able to dwell in this space because God shows up every single day. When you have a platform where you're allowed to show up in love, you can't, there is no negotiate, like there is nothing else to think about. There is nothing else to question. I don't need to worry about what you can do for me. I don't need to worry about what might you do to me, because we're operating in a pure space. It's been an absolute space of divinity for a lot of us. And we are able to just, I mean, like Kelly said, man, it's been life-changing. It's been life-changing. It's been so life-changing that, I mean, I've been very, very open about, you know, what I was going through and what I'm coming from. My husband and I, we've been married for 2 years, but it has been very, very trying. And when I came to this platform, hell, I just knew we were on the way to divorce court. And now we couldn't be any more in love, and we are in love through God's kind of love. And so we've been able to restore and just cover our marriage. And then I've got my sisters here and my brothers on this platform that openly just, they are in there and they come and they show their strength when for us when we just don't have it in us to push us through spaces in prayer. And what more could you ask for? What more could you ask for people to come together in the love of God and love you so much that they care about your well-being, they care about your mental stability, they care about your physical ailments. Like, we want to show up for each other, we want to do whatever we can to support each other, and that's how we're able to really flow. And I couldn't be more grateful, you know, to share this platform with these people.
I love it. I love it.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Miss Nick with the cool hat.
Concur. You know, as I reflected quickly when you talked about the ease of life, it hasn't always been easy, but the constant for me is that God has been faithful. Losing a brother very young to cancer, different vicissitudes of health in my family, the pressure to perform, you know, being an academic and a person successful with all of those kinds of things, and boom, I had a car accident, and I often say sometimes I should put the profile picture up so that you all could see what I walked away from is nothing but the grace of God. And so my campaign now has become the new normal, because sometimes after trauma, you are a different normal, but you still search for that person before the traumatic experience. So the process of recovery, along with my mother being a stroke survivor at the same time, a sister-in-law who was battling stage 4 cancer all at the same time, I just needed a respite. I needed a way station. And I had a friend who nominated me and forced me into the Clubhouse space. And it was a divine ordained appointment by God, because I've always been taught to prefer your brother over yourself. We are porous. But what do you do when you get to that space in life when nobody is pouring back? And so I fall into this space, and I told them, I think today or yesterday, I would always sigh when I woke up in the morning. I got past, I'm woke again, to this sigh. And so I went onto the iPad, my puppy steps on the mic my first day in the gratitude room. And the thought was, you either return to the audience, because you won't sing now, you don't talk a lot now, you withdraw, you mask when you go outside, but what do you do when you come home? You know, go to the introvert space. I said, I either go back down or I'm forced to say something. And I open my mouth and I say, and the connection and relationship, the immediacy of how we go in and love on people and love the pain away and exchange strength and be intentional about getting people out. Do you hear attitude within gratitude? Because it's not that you always feel grateful, but it's a muscle you work your way into to be grateful. Because my father had to continually tell me this: why sit ye here and die? I thought the man with no shoes was bad until I saw the man with no feet. So the attitude muscle is connected to, there's always somebody worse off. So find a reason to be intentionally grateful. Job got his blessing when he was helping someone else. And we trade ourselves for each other every day, and we leave better. And so now we meet the great Jason, and here we are.
Here we are. Here we are. I love that. And you know, again, the thing, I just fell in love with y'all. It was easy. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, you know, nobody in that room is playing some kind of fake, right? And if they are, that's not going to last long.
No.
Or they're not going to last long. And so when I think about what you just mentioned about the new normal, because that's always, it seems like that's being shoved down our throat, which, you know, to the people that would tell us how we're supposed to behave, just say, look, you need to get ready and get used to doing with less, right? You need to get used to doing more away from other people. There's going to be more division. There's going to be less space for us to come together. There's going to be, like, this is the thing that they mean is the new normal. And I want to say, just because I know a little bit about everybody's story here, and Ayanna, I just want to tell you, I love you. I know you're going to watch this, or you're watching. I love you, and this wouldn't be possible without you. And I can't wait to see her at the Unstoppable event and give her big, giant hugs. You know, but her and I's relationship was bam. It was bam, right? And then the acceptance in the room when you all brought me in was bam. There was no, you know, all of this stuff. There's so much division out there, and so many people telling us, okay, you got to hate you, and you got to hate you, and you got to be in this camp, and you got to be in that camp. And the thing that I have gotten from y'all that has just been such a blessing in my own life is that division is a choice of the individual, right? To hate or dislike someone they know nothing about.
Right.
And it's been so interesting because there's been none of that in your room. This is exactly what I wanted to highlight. There's acceptance, there's love, there's joy, there's laughter. And you've got Billy on one end, right? He's our crazy brother. Like he's all our crazy brother or crazy uncle. Everybody's got one. You got L. Patrick Dickerson, who is this amazing light to the world, who's been through so much pain and loves through that pain. And then you have all of you and you know, Stephen, and I mean, I could go on and on and on about the people that are in that room. So when we talk about new normal, I want to focus in on that just a little bit. The new normal, haven't we all been having to deal with a new normal every single day in our life? Is this really a new concept?
I think because of the pandemic has drawn that attention that this is a new normal. I think before the pandemic, I believe that's just what I'm seeing, is that it's just like we go through things and we move on. But now we have to stop and wear a mask. We're being forced to do things that we've never done, like going to the grocery store looking for paper towels and toilet tissue. When has that ever happened? When has that ever happened? Even when we were coming back from Ghana to the States, we didn't know about what was going on. I heard about it, like the pandemic, right before that day we were leaving. And when we got to the airport, they were taking our temperature. I didn't know that's what it was. I just saw this gun going up to people's heads. And I'm asking the guy, what is that? He said, we're taking your temperature. I said, okay. So they did that. Of course, we were fine. We get on the plane and they start spraying the plane with us on it. And they didn't do any of that going into Ghana. And I'm like, what is, so I think the whole pandemic, so saying that word, the new norm, it is justified more. It's in highlighted more now than it probably ever was.
That it drew, and this, to your point, I think I understand, because it happened to all of us at the same time.
Right.
All of us, like, we have all had to adjust to some new normal, because as you said, you break down, you fall, you hit your head or you break your rib or what, like, you got to adjust to a new normal. Somebody goes off to war, they get PTSD. Like, we're all having to do, but there was like this light switch that went off. And by the way, toilet paper is a luxury in Ghana, and you know it. Kelly, what do you think about this concept?
Two things come to mind: restoration and innovation during this new normal. So restoration, I think we as a people needed to stop and go back to ways of the past. And when I say ways of the past, technology, we are in a high technology environment. Families are on the move. We are on that hamster wheel, going into the future, the Jetson age. And it was like, we had to go back and do things the way we were raised, or our grandparents were. Families sitting down for dinner, taking their children outside for a walk. I mean, greenways are packed. People walking, roller skating, bike riding, watching movies in their backyard, playing board games, sitting down to read a book. We needed to go back to a way of the past and bring it forward, so that the world can sort of kind of slow down, pause for a minute, and then proceed, because we were moving too fast. And then the innovation comes from us having to think a different way. How are we going to, move a different way, not going to work, being in a virtual world? So it sort of kind of was like up, it was like that, the scale is doing this and this constantly. It's like, we need to go back to a way of the past, but yet we still need to be innovative of our present and our future. How are we going to interact with people? How are we going to work? We have to create a new normal in our connection with people, because we are now lacking connection. The thing I constantly think about when I go places and meet people, the first thing I want to do is stick my hand out and shake my hand, and it's like, oh, can't do that. Or it's like air high five. Or I mean, like when you're going to see someone that you love and care for, and you want to give a hug. It's like, I remember I went bike riding, and I invited a friend of mine, and we hadn't seen each other in 2 years. And I went to hug her. She was like, girl, it's the Rona. It's out here. And she backed up. And I was like, I'm not sorry. But then she gave me a hug. She was like, okay. But like my sister, like, she won't go out of her. She's like, what are you doing? For my birthday passed in February, I was planning dinner and stuff. I'm like, in Charlotte, we go out. And I really didn't stop for the most part. Once everything was open a little bit, I still go out with my friends and do things, because I said, we are in a new normal. We have to figure out and be innovative of how, and entrepreneurs and business owners and companies have to be innovative. If you go to work every day, I need to have some mental stimulation to be able to sit next to friends in a restaurant or strangers in a restaurant. So restaurants have partitions now, plexiglass. I was in a bank today. So that's where the innovation has come in, to allow us to get to another place in space and prepare for any other kind of pandemic that we may ever have again. God willing, we won't, but you just never know. So that's what comes to mind for me.
I love it. And the idea that this was going to drive us apart, I think, to your point, is that it slowed us down enough and pushed us apart from each other long enough for us to realize, oh damn, I need you. Right? I need people. Like I need that connection. I need those hugs. I haven't stopped anything the entire time. Like nothing. I was on the first flight when they were shutting them down. I had the 737s to myself, when I was flying. It got bizarre for a little while. I'm walking through giant airports that are usually like elbow to elbow people.
Right.
And there was nobody.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
It was unsettling. I can tell you, there's not much that scares me, but it was unsettling for sure. And I just, my thought was, I have to be out front. Like if I'm gonna die, look, I have lived, and y'all have lived through so much stuff, right? And I was thinking to myself, if God wants to take me with a virus, then so be it. That's how I'm going home, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not going to be staying home. It's not going to be hiding out. It's not going to be like a lot of leaders, right, out there, they completely disappeared. Right. And I think that's when we needed the lead. That's why y'all have come forward during this, is because y'all are leaders in a time where we're looking for people who are brave of spirit, that are connected. Right. You guys are the most connected to God, Christian women that I have had the blessing to be around. The faith is strong. And it is. I believe was a benefit of all of this, was to drive us all together, those people who needed each other, to say, you know what, that separation, whatever's going on the news, that stuff is nonsense. Nonsense. Yeah. I have been in the most controversial places. I have done the most controversial things. I've had the most controversial conversations, because I know, just like y'all have taught me every single day I go in, is that if you lead with love and you're wearing God's armor, ain't nothing going to touch you.
Exactly. Because I would get it all the time with because I make posts of the pictures and the videos of us being down with the homeless. And everybody's like, oh my God, how can you be down there with them? They're down. You don't know if you get, like, hold up. They're human beings. I'm a human being. And one thing that we do, we keep our mask on. We make them wash their hands before they come in, and we serve them. So we do the protection part. But at the same time, I got to live life just like they're living life. And they're living in a worse condition than I am. I come home and be under the roof in my house, where they still have to live amongst each other. And they continue to do that. And, I haven't heard what the statistics are of deaths down there, but I'm seeing the same people I saw when I first started 8 months ago.
Virtually none.
Right.
Like virtually no deaths, for the homeless community. Like, it has been bizarre. And, and it's that I don't want to go down a path just yet. I might, but for me, it just has driven us back. So Shay, I want to go to you. And, on this new normal, you go whatever direction you want to with where this conversation is going.
I must say, I spent more time on the positive side of the new norm with the pandemic. Being someone that survived COVID-19, like got it, and I lost my sense of smell and my sense of taste, but my husband needed me. He was affected in a way where he needed me, and I couldn't just leave him in here to just die. You know what I mean?
Just a little heads up, we're babies. Like,
oh
no,
babies.
If it was COVID or a regular flu, we are dying. And Alton, I know he's over there in the.
Listen, that's a whole different look. I told you, that's gonna be some sidebar sitting around a grill talking real crap.
Oh, Shay, think about it. Think about how many women actually came out on Facebook and all this other kind of thing, made a big deal out of getting through the coronavirus. Very, very few. How many guys? Pages, because
you got y'all on there sweating and showing up just looking like you deaf.
Yeah, exactly.
And then here I am walking around here dusting
and looking for somebody to hand them a medal on the chest, right? Where's my medal? I just survived. Like, shut up.
Oh my God.
I
mean, geez, look, that's
I
again,
know,
that's a
Shay.
whole different thing. But
Right.
I was the new norm. I was actually I allowed myself to be happy about what had turned into the new norm for other people, only because we become so overcommitted in our day to day where we forget that we exist because we're the superhero, right? We're expected to show up everywhere and do everything for everybody. And we neglect our children, we neglect ourselves, we neglect, doing things like picking up the phone and calling your mom for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But you spend hours and hours on the phone with people talking about business and making other things around you big and beautiful, but you've completely lost sense of what your real priorities should be. And that's simply just picking up the phone to say I love you and acknowledging that the people that like really love you are still here. Hey, check on me. And even though I show up strong, kind of like what Kelly was saying, I show up strong for everybody, and y'all forget to call little old me. Like I'm over here folding over, And so I appreciated the world just kind of shutting down because it forced people to go back into their space, their foundation, their homes, their marriages. Like think about how many marriages were just being neglected because of you're overcommitted and whatever that looks like. You've got the kids, you've got this, you've got work, and then boom, by the time you all get home and you meet in the middle, you're frustrated, you're fighting with each other simply just because you're just trying to say, you know what, I miss you and I just want to have sex. I mean, no, I'm just saying. And so the pandemic pushed people in spaces to either restore, or y'all drove each other bat crazy and everybody needed a woman cave, man cave, whatever that looked like. But it made you also appreciate your four walls. Like how many of us were so overcommitted that we were rarely in our own house?
Yeah.
And so that's the piece of it. But now when I have to shift gears a bit because I also have to accept the fact that this new norm, there's a lot of things that showed us was the new norm, but it was already an issue. We've already been living in a pandemic. We've already been living in a crisis. We've got most of the majority people around here in the world walking around with bad credit because we don't have, people don't have access to certain things, finances. A lot of us don't carry long-lived family names to support us in such ways where we can, really have access to the things that we really want and the things that we feel like that we truly deserve. And so this pandemic force everybody, like Kelly said, to become creative and be innovative and try to find different means of surviving. And in that, when you did that, you tapped into your power. You were able to discover your power. You were able to discover, whoa, wait a minute. I can do this and I don't even have to leave the house. Like what? And so there was a lot of things, but most importantly, I think this was God's way of saying, this is urgent. And I need all of the people, all of my children that say they love me, I need for you to surrender and I need for you to be ready and I need for you to mount up and get in formation because we're on a soul mission now. So this is now divinity. This has turned into divinity. This is bigger than money. This is definitely more than COVID-19. This is much, much greater. We're in the, what do they call it? The eye of the spiritual warfare. And there are souls that need to be reached. People are getting stuck in places because they don't understand their trauma. People are getting stuck in places because they don't have a voice and they're afraid to even speak up. Better yet, people are stuck in places because they just don't know how to find their hallelujah anyhow. And so that's my take on it.
Love it.
Very good. I like that.
I do too. So much wisdom tonight. Miss Nick, what you got? What do you got to add?
Well, to the point of when you said, is it really a new normal? I think it's a coupling of some things. It's a reminder or remembrance of when they used to say change is the only constant. I think prior to this situation, us as adults, people who were entrepreneurs, people who may have had lucrative finances, here comes this uncontrollable variable that money can't fix. That status, power, from the church house to basically the White House, everybody was adversely affected and they had to learn how to pivot. The world had a reset. I'd never been in my deck and I've been in this house 20 years. I very rarely ate in my kitchen because I was busy enough to grab food on the way and come home to grade papers. So the reset is all of the things that you never utilize that you now use, the things that you bought in busyness that you never needed. 2 shirts that I had, and I'm like, I bought 2 of these because I couldn't find the first one. I mean, just a mindfulness.
That's when you need me.
And even maybe a repentance to places where we could have been more useful instead of wasteful. So I'm devastated by the losses, but I am humbled by the gains. Yeah. Discipline, whether you wanted to wear a mask or not, you had to follow a directive. Discipline. It restored a level of discipline that even if we're adults, and I call it groaning on our own, there are times you had to submit to the rule, submit to the process, submit to, I can't do this like I used to do it my way. And so I bet there's some people who might be a little more financially disciplined because you had to discipline in other areas.
Right.
Your will. So I mean, for those reasons, now it's reintegration, because I was the opposite person. I've not physically really touched my mom and dad since last March, and it's eating me up. But my protectiveness of them, to hear you all say, keep living, keep doing, you assisted me, like in the flow room, by helping me to reintegrate myself, because it's time to start reintegrating with a level of discipline. And that's been my great area about going back out and joining. I'm a foodie. I haven't been in a restaurant since last month. That's uncommon for me, but I can cook. I mean, I can Instapot cook really well because we had to stay in the house. So new normal, I think it's a recurrence of new normal and pivoting through places where maybe against our will, we have to change something that we otherwise would not have dealt with. So that's my take on that whole day. Oh, and resilience.
Yes.
Resilience.
Yes. Yes.
Jason, can I add something to what Nick just said too?
Yeah,
part of the innovation that I think people have experienced, people who probably never thought of entrepreneurship, never had any lessons of finance, have become millionaires, entrepreneurs, started businesses, wrote books, just have done things that they never even dreamed and or imagined that can and probably will impact their families for a lifetime. For now, putting things into place where they can leave a legacy for their families, which they probably wasn't even on the agenda. Right. Because they're just so busy moving it, making moves and shaking and
chasing it down.
And Kelly, that's kind of where I wanted to start shifting the conversation, which is, throughout history, right? I wish more people would read history books, because there's some predictable things that happen because humans are predictable animals, right? We make the same decisions. It just shifts from this person to that person, this country to that country. That we as human beings have these predictive behaviors. And throughout history, the greatest times of opportunity appear in the seemingly greatest times of crisis for everybody. And so the thing that I love, and again, for opportunity, so I want to focus on the opportunities that you all see with what has happened. And the thing that you cannot pursue an opportunity unless your mind is right? If you're buying into the fear and you're buying into, oh my God, the world's falling apart, that takes you away, right? I mean, I had a great conversation with Shay and her husband the other day about the book of knowledge, and where the book of knowledge for all of us throughout history has been a way to control people. The less knowledge somebody has, the more controllable they are. And then the knowledge that you do feed them, if it's curated for another purpose, then you're still directing a group of people to think one way or the other. I love freedom of thought. I love freedom of, that's what this country is about. It's like being free for us to make our own decisions. And so when we think about that book of knowledge, there's a major page or a couple pages or a chapter called wealth building, right? And that has been ripped out and shredded up for a large number of humans throughout history and now in the United States. So what I love about the gratitude room is that there's always an opportunity that y'all lead people to. You know, people come in with great pain, and then somebody steps in and says, okay, we love you. We feel that pain, but girl, step, right? Get moving, like get to that next level. Where's the opportunity in what you're going through? And so I want to just go through and I want to hear from y'all. What are the opportunities that you see now and for your own futures as you're looking forward? And we'll start with back up with you, Marvelous.
Honestly, like I've been telling a few of the our family members in our gratitude room, I'm coming out of retirement. You know, I've been in the entertainment industry for a while, and I've, you know, made connections. I'm a part of an organization called African Artists Association, and it's definitely a networking with seasoned actors, directors, writers, producers, entertainment lawyers, and they speak to our group of you know, individuals who are putting together projects. And being in this room and being a storyteller myself, a writer myself, and doing my first short myself, I see so many stories in people. And that's one thing that I promote when I'm in the room. Tell your story, write a book, write a poem, make a movie. There's never enough, because everybody has their own story to tell, even though you might be kind of like someone else's story, but the action in your story is different from the action in that story. And so it's making me want to come back into the entertainment world as a producer. You know, like I said, I've been a fashion designer. I've seen all kind of stars. I've worked with big people. And, you know, it's like, for me, I want the stories to be told from the heart. I want, and it's a release for people to find themselves, to see that they are creative, and that the creative part of them has always been there. They just never tapped into it. And with this pandemic, it has allowed them to tap into things that they never thought they could do. That book has been sitting on the shelf forever in their heads. Now it's time to let go. You know, you pray to God and you ask him for things, and he's giving it to you. It might not have come the way you thought, but he's giving you the opportunity. You know, even when the pandemic started, you couldn't find a bike to save your life. There were no bikes to be found. And if you did, it was thousands of dollars. You go to Home Depot, you couldn't find gardening stuff because people are planting, they're growing food in their backyard, and they're proud of it, and they're eating it. Would they have done that before? They've become these famous gardeners, and they posted on Instagram or do TikTok, and now they're a one-hit wonder. And so for me, yes, it's real. The deaths are real, but at the same time, we still have to live. And I'm so grateful that now people are finding themselves. Some are still struggling, but for the most part, even with our group, how many times we're hearing somebody in our group that wrote a book, or they have a book, or they're working on, they're really gonna work on it.
I wouldn't dare come in y'all's room and not progress.
No, you can't. We don't want to allow it.
I'm not coming in and saying I'm the same person I was yesterday.
Right. No, not at all. And the stories that we've heard, you know, David, for one, and I don't know if you've been in there with Bishop. We call him Bishop.
Yeah.
That man is powerful. And I mean, the room that we had yesterday was about finding the kid, the hurt kid in you, because a broken kid is a broken adult. And so the stories that came out, I'm telling you, blew our minds. The things that we went through as kids and what they went through, I'm like an angel in my life. And so to survive those things and still be able to talk about it, people need to hear about it. They need to see about it. They need to get in touch. So that's my take on that.
I love it, Marvelous. And aren't the greatest stories the ones that other people can see themselves in your journey, and it takes them to a win they can get to for themselves? Because you do hear in Clubhouse a lot, you hear people wanting to get their story out, but it's in a selfish way, right? It's like, I just need somebody to hear that. I get tired of telling my story. But what I always say, just like you said, I mean, I had a rough childhood. That's what has gotten me on shows, and that people want to hear the story or stages, whatever it is. But it's not about that. You know, I mean, that all that was a representation of what all of, everybody's had challenges, some worse, some easier, but we've all had challenges. And what we're looking for is we're looking for somebody to tell a story that they can see themselves as a superhero. Right.
I'm sure you've been in church and you think the pastor's just talking to you.
Right.
He's telling your story. Nobody else. The other thousands of people in there, he's talking to you. And you go out like, oh my God, how did he know that? Everybody's saying the same thing. You know? So there's something behind that. And it's not a secret. It's not magic. It's real. It's life.
It is. Well, Kelly, what kind of opportunities do you see, and for yourself or for the country or for us, that are listening to you?
Well, one, I see opportunities of healing. That's been a place that I can honestly say has been for me. This journey so far has been for me. I mean, people have been coming in to our room wounded. I mean, wounds wide open, some of them bleeding. Marvelous mentioned David. David came in bleeding, but it's in a sense of bleeding where he's so numb to it, he didn't even realize he was still bleeding. And he came into a room full of women and felt comfortable enough as a man to stay and then to share. And since then, this man has been pouring out, pouring out his story. And as he pours, as that blood is pouring, there's still healing. There's healing. It's starting to get the next skin to the next skin. I see that for me. I've had side conversations with people who felt alone, were told by their family they couldn't amount to anything. I have a book project in place that talks about putting on the full armor of God and not adhering to the labels that we put on ourselves and our families and so forth, put on ourselves. And God has connected me to people who have had those scenarios in their lifetime. And to be able to talk to someone and then say in 2 weeks, you're going to by Saturday, put your poetry together. And in 2 weeks, your book is going to be together. Lovely Marie had Dola's Castle. She said, in a conversation with me, people are asking me for a boy's book. I don't know what to do. I don't have a boy. I said, well, why don't you look at sports? Oftentimes, I've heard many stories. My brother played basketball, football, and baseball, where children were molested and abused in sporting activities. 24 hours later, I get a message, Kelly, the boy's book is written. Wait, what? 24 hours? She's like, yes, I sent it to the editor and it'll be published. A week later, she sends me the sketch of the cover. My daughter can be 26. And I have books that I wrote since she was little sitting in a notebook. And I'm like, this woman done kicked out a children's book in 24 hours. Okay, Kelly, you need to get up your dusty and get these 16. I have 16, maybe 17 children's books written, and they're still sitting in a book, And so this being in the gratitude room and being grateful for where God has me right now has put what I call putting a light foot on my back. Or as when I first met Shay in the 21 Days of Gratitude, she slapped me up the backside of my head and was like, "Girl,"
Slapping us.
and I was like, "Oh," I felt it in the text message. I'm like, "Well, Jesus," and so seeing these ladies every day, having the separate conversations with them, puts a fire to me.
Yes.
I have 5 notebooks of business notes, ideas. I met a gentleman in another room who does T-shirts. I inbox him because now I'm being held accountable to the
Yes.
ideas and the things that God has given me. So I said,
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I'll help anybody." Boom! I immediately sent him a message. You know, lovely Marie. Every time she talks about her book, I'm like, "Kelly, okay, you gotta let's go. Let's type this book up. Let's get it to somebody." And she just went to Fiverr and found somebody to illustrate her books. And I'm like, "Okay, duh. Why didn't I think of that? I know Fiverr well, and like I'm talking to a person, And so seeing these people. It's a constant reminder of, Kelly, get this stuff out, like financially.
Yes.
I've worked in the nonprofit industry 30 something years. I've been volunteering since I was 15. And I'm like, okay, God, when am I going to stop suffering with the folks that I'm helping that's needy too? I need some coins in my bank account too. And so it's like, okay, Kelly, but I gave you the notebooks. I gave you the notebooks, Can you get the stuff out the notebook and into real life,
Right.
So I'm driven to make sure it happens. But because I was focused on the wrong things for so long. My daughter moved to LA, and so now I'm like, okay, I try to encourage her to not wait all these years to get her gifts. And when I tell you, my daughter has some gifts. My daughter at 14 lost the vision in her right eye due to a drive-by, and she was shot in the eye with a frozen paintball gun. And she has what's called a global rupture. And so, but out of that, she went from being an avid reader to drawing. And I'm like, where did this come from? She always liked art, but I mean, her artistic skills just went through the roof, that she studied graphic design and web design to designing different things. And, but she's still trying to find her way and stuff, but such a creative, but yet still, even though she has, she lacks some confidence in her physical appearance, still a beautiful young lady, but she understands her gifts. Like, she's like, "Mom, there's not anything I don't know, because I know how to find it. I know the information. I stay up with things." And so the encouragement of what we're going through is a constant reminder. The encouragement of these ladies, the men in the room, the constant reminder of the gifts God has given me, and I can't sit on those things anymore.
Love that.
Yeah. That was rich. Shay? That was really rich.
Yeah.
Really rich. Really deep.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, the opportunity for me was to become a better me, a better person, the opportunity to grow. And what I mean by that is time management, accountability, and responsibility. And so I had started to really allow my tactfulness to just kind of dissipate because I was losing my mojo for what I was doing. And so I started to realize that my time management had just started to really suck because I just was no longer motivated, or passionate about what I was doing anymore. And so the opportunity, I allowed myself to seize the opportunity in all of this to just become a better me, become better at, I needed a fine tuning. And the type of fine tuning that I had to come to terms with was to allow myself to accept responsibility for what I wasn't doing and take accountability for what I wasn't doing and become better, but also managing my time. And so accountability, responsibility, and time management, and boom, you've got an even a more extended version of how fabulous I can be if I focus on managing myself better. And so in all of that, I've developed these new atomic habits. I absolutely, like, I've allowed myself to restore my relationship with books and restore my relationship with writing. And I'm feeling myself again, the girl before all the pain, the girl before all the stories and the shenanigans and the life dramas and the hardships. I've been able to really get back to the girl that was free and flowy and poetic and great at, you know, literature and language arts, and being able to just fall in love with books. It's a motto that I live by. Knowledge is power. Allow yourself to read a book. Allow yourself to read a book. There is so many hidden gems in books. And then, not to mention, there were so many, you know, I think about the stories. I'm biracial, and so I think about all of the stories that I hear from my mom's side of the family. My mom's side of the family, they're Jamaican. And I think about all of, you know, some of my ancestors and great aunts and uncles and whatnot. They didn't have the privilege to read. And so the fact that we have access to books, read the damn book, read the book, you know? And so I've been able to restore my relationship with books, and it's just making me come to life again. I'm finding new life. And not only that, I'm opening new portals mentally and emotionally, and it's pushing me to foreign places. And I'm just more, I'm now ready to really truly discover what is the mission, God? What is the mission? Right. How can I show up and just serve? Because if I'm able to show up and position myself in such a place where I'm here to serve, everything else is gonna just absolutely fall in place. So my goal now is to just continue to feed myself with knowledge, allow myself to heal through spaces in my surrender, but also make myself accessible, open my mouth, continue to use my voice and say, hey, you know what? I'm in a season, and another thing though, is to really shred ego. I think a lot of us have been able to hide behind our titles and our careers for so long that we've lost the true connection to people. And we've been able to hide behind our titles. And so being in the space has also pushed us in the space to be bare all, and be naked, because if you don't have it, you have to open your mouth and say, you know what? I have a need. That's another part of the season that we're in. You know, everyone has to actually stand up and say, you know what? Wait a minute, I have a need. I have a need. And not even expecting somebody to show up with finances to say, hey, because we all got bills, right? And so now this is not about the season of showing up and say, hey, can I get a loan? You know, it's not about that. It's saying, hey, you know what? I got bills coming down the pipeline, and I'm going to have bills next month, and I'm also going to have bills next year. So who in this season can hear me say what I'm saying and be able to respond to me in a way to say, you know what, Shay, I hear something in you, and it's something that I can use somewhere. And so I'm not necessarily showing up to say, hey, you know what, I've got $100,000 that I can put in your account. Let me align you in such a way that you too can, you know, put yourself in a space to create generational wealth for your family, because that's how I see you. And so that's kind of been a space, that's been the season that I'm in. I want to be like, I've been looking for the opportunities to, well, actually, you know what? I take that back. I haven't been looking. I've just been showing up. I've been making it my priority. It's become my business to show up and serve God. And so even showing up in this platform with Clubhouse, it's easy. It's easy. We find ourselves on this platform for hours in the day, to a point where we understand now we need to do things with a bit more moderation so we can really be productive from the platform you know, and do that. And so in finding balance and all of that, it's like, so I'm not showing up looking for opportunities. I show up because it's an opportunity for me to praise God. It's given me an opportunity to show gratitude. It's given me an opportunity to really build the foundation that we've lacked for so long. Friends, sisters, brothers, you know, whatever that is. But while we're doing that, we're becoming connected to people that are resourceful, that can hear, you know what, you've got something and we can use that. You know, people are showing up. This is an opportunity right here. You know, we don't know where this is going to carry. We don't know that, we didn't know how we were to show up here today. There was no preparation. Like, we don't know, but we also don't know. What we do know is that we're in a season of blessing, and the blessings have been absolutely abundant. And so we just instead of seeking opportunity, we just show up with we just show up how we are, and opportunity finds us. And so that's where we are. So I'm just like, I'm here. I want to continue to grow. The people that are centered and and covering me, they grow me in spaces. You know, they require something of me just like I require something of them. And so this is that accountability, responsibility, and time management thing for me. And that's what I have. Like, I yield my mic.
It's so funny. I'm in meetings now and I go, I'm Jason, and I'm catching myself, right? I'm Jason, I'm done speaking. And people are like, what are you talking about? You know, you're going to hit the thing, you know.
I know. It rubs off on you.
You're looking at him like you could do this, but I'm like, microphone.
And that I love you, and nothing you can do about it. I'm saying that to the guy in the grocery store.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm in the grocery store. I love you, and nothing you can do about it. It's
like, we're just in a budget meeting, Jason. What do you mean you love me? You know.
Look, I love you because you're here working the budget.
That's it. That's it. I love you. I love you. That's nothing you can do about it. Here's the next quarter projections. So one of the things before I go to Nick is the beautiful thing that I hear in the room. I hear from you all tonight. God, there's no blame. There's no blame. There's no power in blame, right? There's no power in blame. There's accepting personal responsibility. There's looking for opportunity. There's gratitude. There's seeding into other people. That's where power exists, right? And we've been lied to for so long about where the power is in money. Power is not in money. You know, we'll have a whole nother show on that because we're already an hour and a half into this baby. Remember I told you the tough time.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So here's what we're gonna do, Nick. I want you to talk about this concept of what opportunity, and then I'm gonna go to each one of you for some piece of parting advice or wisdom for people before we close down, and then we'll start to head towards closing it down. So Nick, talk a little bit about opportunity and what you see now and what you see coming in the future.
Well, and I was still chuckling because in the kitchen I couldn't find something. I was like, pull a refresh. I just had to get serious.
And all those people that aren't on Clubhouse, they're going, what the hell are they? That's right. The microphone is yours.
That's the hand, right? For me, I'll say it's a rebirthing because being a PK kid, a father, preacher's kid, and my mother was a teacher and so forth and so on. A lot of times when you have parents who are goal driven, you find yourself doing things because you've been trained to be that person. But something about that room has trained me. Rebirthing for me is this. I discovered the singer in me because when my brother would come from chemotherapy, back in those days, they didn't have all the modern techniques to ease pain. And his 8-year-old sits at his feet and sings sonnets over him that would calm the pain from spinal taps and so forth and so on. So I started a book one time and it was too painful to complete, but it was called Healing Songs. And so this particular space becomes a space where I feel their thing, I intercept it, and oftentimes I will sing them out of a space. I guess that's the healing, that's the music therapy in it. And so my 3 CDs sitting in my house for 3 years, fully completed, never released for fear. Accountability makes you say, you have to rebirth and do that. Listen, the pain is not about us. The pain is for the other people.
Mhm.
And this worthologist told me something 2 weeks ago. He said, I've listened to you come into my space and sing. I've listened to you come in my space and pull on other people's stuff. What is your worth? What do you make dollars per hour? And I hung my head because of all of the concerts I did for free or for a church dinner, or it comes to a place where your worship is not only formidable, but it's necessary because God wants a reciprocity on the tithe. You're insulting his intelligence when you don't give it back to him. So my point becomes, we're at monetization, not because of greed, but because when we step into worship, we get more so we can bless more people. And so that's where I am. And this is how he said it. And it made me feel guilty to be late for the assignment. Your highest pain point is your highest paying point. I've been weeping looking through my journals this week of where I cried over not wanting this new normal. Lord, take this thorn out of my side. I don't want this new normal. I want her back. This is a better version of what I thought I was, but new normal is my literary work that I don't have to write because my pain wrote that book. And now I have to rebirth other people and say, if you're stuck, don't chase that old one, but get your new one because it's going to be a better one.
Right.
And so I surmise this with monetize so you can have more to affect more and get more broken people healthy.
Yes.
That's what we do every day. We help, we make people who thought they couldn't be healthy, healthier.
Yes.
And so as we say in our clubhouse streets, Kelly says, I yield my mic.
I like it.
I love it.
We're gonna end with you, Nick, and and I hope that you've got a song on your spirit that you think will help for tonight. We're gonna end with you, because when you talk about the healing power of music, there was a period of my life when I shifted into 100% knowledge. I knew that the pathway out of my life and a new future for my children, and for the calling on my life from God was going to, I had to necessarily dive into knowledge deeply, right? Had a very good long conversation with Shay and Alton about this yesterday or a couple days ago, and I lost a little connection to music, during that period of time, because any free moment I had somebody speaking into my ear, whether it was headphones or from stage or whatever it was. I became addicted, and now when I go into the room, it's like this addiction. I cannot leave until you sing to me, and when you do sing to me, it lights up my day for the whole day, so I would love to figure out a way for all of us to come together around some themed rooms. Okay. And what I mean by that is, let's take this gratitude and let's put a little attitude, as you said in the beginning, into it. And let's start speaking on business. Let's start speaking on growing something. Let's start speaking some solutions that we can start handing tools to our people to take that next step, right? So I want us to think about that, and I want that to be a takeaway for all of us. I'm in with y'all. You're part of my family, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
amen.
So Marvelous.
I'm a big eater, so I have your refrigerator full.
So listen, wait, Jason, the only way we can do this is if you say, drip squad, and you gotta say it. You gotta say it. Come on,
That's gonna be my call. Drip squad, show up. Y'all are. All right, so let's take it home, and Marvelous, you start. Greatest piece of advice that you've ever gotten, or wisdom, or lesson that you want to pass on to people.
First, come out of your comfort zone. Nobody could have paid me to say that I would be invited to this platform today after being in the clubhouse in the gratitude room for maybe 2 weeks now. And to top that off, to be asked to be a moderator. Like I said, I've always been behind the scenes, behind the stage. You just see me going, you don't see me talking. And for me to be comfortable and come out of that zone, to be able to speak from the heart, is nothing but God. And so I just advise people to get in touch with self, get in touch with that little girl, that little boy in you. Heal that pain, because when you heal that pain, the two of you connect and you heal together. So be transparent, be authentic, and be unapologetic. And you don't have to explain anything. This is who I am, whether you like it or not. Like in our room, it has a little button that says leave quietly. Okay? Because I have to live for me, not you.
Amen.
And that's what people need to understand. The whole social media thing, I got to feel it. And then I can produce. I don't want, so my whole takeaway from this and my advice to people is get in touch with self. It's okay. You don't know how the pain you release, how you can live and really live your life and help others. So that's my advice. Get out the comfort zone.
I love it. I love it. And if you ever write anything that needs a really, really handsome bald guy in it, as an actor, I got you.
Well, I have a script that's coming. It's being looked over right now. So I'm gonna call you out on that.
I'm in. Well, the funny thing, I did a little movie thing a couple years ago, and it was, you guys know what I do in the trafficking world, right? And the undercover work I do, rescuing little girls and little boys. They cast me as a bad guy, as a trafficker.
Oh, wow.
It was a bizarre, I thought, okay, that's cool. It's going to bring attention because the whole movie was put together to bring awareness. It was a show about it. Right.
Okay.
And so she was like, I can't think of anybody better to bring you into the show. And I'm like, and then I looked at the part, I'm like, I called her up and I'm like, put me as a bad guy? Like,
I know, right?
I think you gave me the wrong one.
Right. You gave me the wrong one. Let me tell you the lesson that was learned from that was so bizarre. Like I went in, we shot the scene, and part of it, and this is what I love about what you just said, Marvelous, about healing that inner child. Because when I was going through it, I was having flashbacks of all the different missions I've been on, all the interactions, all the horrifying things I've seen. But there was this scene when I had to drag this lady in, by it looked on screen like it was by her hair, but there was a little connection thing there.
Right.
But drag her in and spin her around in front of the big boss and say, this bitch was hiding or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And I shot the scene and I did it. And I went outside and bawled like a baby.
Wow.
Because I'd seen my mom thrown like that
so
many times. I've lived a life of protecting and never did protecting her. And I went outside and I was crying and like uncontrollably. It wasn't like it was a weird, and I thought, life has brought me here. This was a moment for me to experience, for God to say, you know what, except for me, there you went. Right. Except for me, there you went. And so anyway, I don't know why I went off on that whole thing, but
no, it was important.
Yeah, it was powerful. So, Miss Kelly, what's your parting shot? What is your piece of wisdom you're going to give
Our
us?
piece of wisdom is that God has given us gifts, and he has manifested the steps that we need to take each and every day in our life. Because those gifts are going to be our testimonies. When we really feed into our gifts, it's going to be the testimony that's going to be a healing place for others. And so we have to tap in them, because this is not this is no longer a time of selfishness. It's a time of selflessness. And so please tap into those gifts, because somebody on the receiving end of those gifts needs to be healed by your gifts.
Yes.
I love that, Miss Kelly. Love that. Miss Shay, parting shot, wisdom.
Right. So
Drop it.
Definitely unmute yourself. Just unmute yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Allow yourself to just use your voice. That's where we find our power, when we unmute. Allow yourself to speak up, even if you find yourself like feeling like a lunatic, like I do some of the times, just sitting in the car, just sometimes, find a space where you can just say things out loud, even if you're saying it to yourself, because you unmuting yourself alone just releases you from a lot of oppressed places. The other thing is really truly allow yourself to learn and exercise grace and forgiveness. Because we need grace and forgiveness from both sides of the table, from every seat that we share. Even the people that show up like the bad guy, we constantly have to live in a space of grace and forgiveness, because we don't understand sometimes why things are happening, and we get so caught up in the spirit of confusion. But you can totally release yourself from that space and heal yourself through a lot of things if you just really truly allow yourself to learn and exercise grace and forgiveness. And then the allow yourself to be refined. And the last thing is, praise doesn't have to be pretty. Don't worry about what it looks like. Don't worry about what you're saying. Don't worry about what other people are going to think about you.
Right.
Praise. Thank God. Have an attitude of gratitude. Be intentional about just saying thank you, Jesus, because that alone is a healing space. That right there is where you plug into your power.
Yes.
And that's what I have.
I love it.
All right.
I love it. Miss Nick, what's your parting shot? And then give us a song.
Don't give up. I had
Don't
to
give up.
myself, don't give up, because the day that you give up might be the day that you get your miracle. So live it out so you can see the manifestation of the promise. Jeremiah 9:11 says, we don't have to know. My dad says it this way: if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. We get tripped up because we had a plan, but he has the ultimate agenda. And he says it's not of harm, but it is an expected end. So what I mean by that is, see it out, see it to fruition. It's something that's a blessing on the other side of through. So I think that's what and this is how I will segue into it. I can remember a time, due to being very anxious as an overachiever and always being very fearful, I had developed TMJ. And the dentist said, you have one of the most severe cases I've ever seen. It was where they made you chew on a piece of paper so they could see how it shifted. He said, you have literally shifted your jaw out of the joint like somebody that has been punched in the face, because in your sleep, you grind your teeth and you're still thinking while you're trying to rest. And so one of the things he made me do as a therapy was to practice smiling, because he says it took more muscles to frown than to smile. So that was one of my therapies. And I'm saying this because the song I'm going to leave us with is Smile, because that song talks about kind of whatever state you're in, you could be content. You don't have to be happy, but you don't always have to be happy, but gratitude can pull us into our own intentional happy place, or a place of new normal, right?
Yes.
So listen to you, because there are some people who are wondering if God loves them. And as
Yes.
you campaign, it's very small. It's one of the most simple things. And then I'll segue into smile. And I'm going to tell you, this is a part of my resilient journey, because I don't have a problem, although sometimes there are tears in my eyes when I have to do it, because I always had the memory of, literally, they say, an elephant. And for me to have to read words now because of an accident, and I'm going to tell you something. The kids who stole that truck, one of my students was in the car that could have literally killed me. And I was immediately pulled into advocacy, because I had a decision to make, that either these children could be incarcerated or I would give them another chance at life. 2 of them I led to Christ right in the courtroom. Several of them got themselves together and became straight A students. So although I have to read my words and I hate it, we met in the middle and we both won.
That's powerful.
And so that's part of my resilience to get it done. And I thank you for always pulling on it, Jason, because I'm like, what if I forget the words and he just asked me to sing something? So I guess I said to the overcomers out there that will see this in 2 weeks or whenever, I am on a campaign as a rebirthologist to show you, you can do it again.
Yes.
Whatever you lost, work what you have left. I'm doing it. And I hate the hell out of it. Shay, you made me say it, cuss. I hate it. But if it's helping somebody else, then it was right. I said, hell, Dad's gonna see this. Okay, now. Smile. Though your heart is aching, smile. Even though it's breaking. I've been there. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by if you smile through your fear and sorrow. Smile, and maybe tomorrow you'll see the sun come shining through for you. Oh, lift up your face with gladness. Come on. Hide every trace of sadness. The flow room helped me do it. Oh, though a tear may be ever so near, that's the time you must keep on trying. Smile. What's the use of crying? You'll find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. God has smiled on me, and I yield my mind.
Woo!
What a great way to end the show. What a great way. What a great way. Look, I just want to say before we go, I hope we do this again. You know, different subjects as things come up and the world tells us we can't talk about it, we can't work through it, that it's impossible, and there's all these things that should separate us. I just want us to continually be that beacon for other people that says anything is possible, right? Anything is possible as long as you love first, right? As long as you love first. And you all have been amazing mentors to me and leaders, and your wisdom it really is life-changing for the people that are in your space anytime. And
Yes.
and I want you to keep doing it. I want to keep being an advocate. I would love to, keep coming into the room. I think that if we do some themed things together, start helping, adding some tools to the community, I think it's even going to be more and more powerful. So
Awesome.
ladies, on behalf of Misfit Nation and behalf of me as the Bald Avenger, the king of the Misfit Nation, I thank you so much for spending part of your evening with me. And I look forward to seeing y'all in your room in the next couple of days. Love you all.
Thank you for having us.
Love you,
Thank
Jason.
you. Love
you.
you.
Nothing you can do
Love you,
about
ladies.
About it.
Nothing.
Squad.
Drip
Drip
squad.
squad.
Group squad. Got to do it.
Hey.
Yeah.
All right, ladies.
All right, bye.
Have a
everybody.
good
Love
week.
you guys.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Yes.
Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, y'all. Thank you so much.
Jason.
Thank you so much. And you guys have an amazing weekend.
You too.
You.
Okay. Bye-bye.